All right. Yesterday on this program, we told you about how Hunter Biden had taken out a loan for $1 million to pay some back taxes to get himself out of trouble. Well, you know what? As it turns out, the New York Times did that story yesterday, and that was in their lead. But in the 24th paragraph, hardly anybody reads that far into a story. In the 24th paragraph, it mentions an email between Hunter Biden and his associates, and it said, in the New York Times, those emails were obtained by the New York Times from a cache of files that appears to have come from a laptop abandoned by Mr. Biden in a Delaware repair shop. Sound familiar? The email and others in the cache were authenticated by people familiar with them and the investigation. Keep in mind, this all came to light before the election. We covered it here. The New York Post covered it. They got a copy of the laptop from Rudy Giuliani. And today they say all the news that's fit to print once Biden is elected. Because before the election, it seemed it was all hands on deck to protect the Bidens.
Yeah, I mean, this story is huge, only because, I mean, all of us knew this, right? We had Tony Bobolinsky on this network. That poor laptop repairman has gone bankrupt because not only did he, as a patriot, I think, bring this forward for all of us to see, but then the government and other people have been attacking him. I think it's really easy to get distracted by, you know, the homemade porn and, you know, the baby mamas and the drugs and the crack pipes and everything else. I believe that this Hunter Biden story is the most important story in politics, despite all the sensationalism that makes it look like it's just a Daily Mail story. It's not. It's so important. Think about the countries that are in the news right now: Ukraine, Russia, China, you know, at the center of what we're dealing with right now. And we still have not gotten to the bottom of really the Biden family corruption. And more importantly, Joe Biden. Is Joe Biden the big guy who got 10% of the kickbacks? And if that's the case, he may be compromised. He may not be able to, with clean hands, do what's best for America in this situation. And just as importantly, I think, is the fact that our country spent 4 years looking at Russian interference in our election. And it turns out that our media, big tech, interfered with our election. This election would have been different had this been allowed to see the light of day.
That's according to the polls. 10% of people who voted for Joe Biden 100%. Said I wouldn't have voted for him.
Donald Trump would be president right now, and because for 4 years there was no incursion into Ukraine during his leadership, I don't believe we'd be in this war right now, Brian.
The 50 intelligence officers from Leon Panetta to John Brennan who signed their names to Michael Hayden all are defamed and defrocked. They should be ashamed of themselves because everybody knew this thing was real. At the very least, what they knew, they never was worthy of their signature with their intelligence background, which they got off taxpayer training. So if you think about, too, the New York Post comes out and uses a profanity, says, no kidding, using a profanity. We know this was real the whole time. How you froze our social media accounts, that's the bigger story. So remember, when this first came out, how the media reacted.
Authorities are now investigating whether recently published emails that purport to detail the business dealings of Joe Biden's son are tied to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
Recently published emails that purport to detail the business dealings of Joe Biden's son are actually part of an ongoing Russian disinformation campaign.
Hunter Biden, this laptop that intelligence officials have warned is likely Russian disinformation.
It's broadly known and widely known, Peter, that there was a broad range of Russian disinformation back in 2020.
Do you still think that the stories from the fall about your son Hunter were Russian disinformation and a smear campaign, like you said?
Yes, yes, yes. God love you, man. You're a one-horse pony. I tell you. Thank you. Thank you. I promise you, my Justice Department will be totally on its own, making its judgments about how they should proceed. Thank you.
Keep your eye on this mother of Hunter Biden's child. This Arkansas woman, who had a child with Hunter Biden. They were in deny it until all of a sudden they wanted his tax records, and he quickly said, "Okay, I'll pay you." She knows a lot. And her attorney, Clint Lancaster, for London Alexis, told CNBC that she previously handed over a significant amount of Hunter's financial record. He also was a big talker on tape.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if she started talking, if she started saying exactly what she knows, because she took credit for him coming forward.
Well, the reason that is salient right now, Brian, is the fact that that lawyer that you just referred to revealed yesterday that the authorities talked to the baby mama about Hunter, and the lawyer talked to the FBI, and the lawyer saw everything, and he said, I would be shocked if Hunter Biden is not indicted over this. So the question is, why would the New York Times come out with this story to fix the story after 17 months of radio silence? It could either be Hunter Biden is going to be indicted, and the New York Times had to fix their story, their history with the story before that happens. Could be. Or it could be that the New York Times is trying to disqualify Joe from running in 2024 and try to make room for somebody else. Maybe they're trying to squeeze him out. Maybe it's neither one of them, but it's just curious why they would sit on that story for 17 months until yesterday and then say, oh, yeah, Joe Biden's got this connection to Tony Bobolinsky and a whole bunch of money that we can't explain.
Yeah, Miranda Devine's book has it there. Read it.
Totally.
Just have one email come forward and say, that's not true, that's not, I never typed that, I never said that. Nobody involved said it, but 50 U.S. intelligence agents said that this was Russian disinformation.
And smeared sitting senators, smeared Senator Johnson, smeared Senator Grassley. Just right before we go, imagine being Donald Trump right now. You lost this election because the media and big tech colluded and hid this story. And the American people deserve to know whether their president was taking dirty money from any of these countries.
So the New York Times now can put Miranda Devine's laptop from hell, take it off the fiction list, and put it in nonfiction because, according to the New York Times, it actually happened.
That's called real journalism. It should be Book of the Year.